Oh, we're live. Ludi, it's so wonderful to see you. Thank you for joining us today on Plant a Good Seed on IBM.TV.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
You've got so much knowledge and so many things to say that people need to hear that they don't understand how our bodies, how us as a species, what our needs are and how we work. So I'm really excited to jump into it. But first, do you mind telling everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from and whatnot?
Sure. Then you may, I did not speak a lot yet, but you may see heard about my accent. I'm a French speaker and I'm coming from Belgium. Then we moved in the US a second time, 3 years ago, and we lived 2 years previously. We moved to Raleigh. We really love the area here, then it's why we came back.
Nice.
We really love living in this area. I don't know, the weather, the people, the opportunities there is here.
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount, even in the Triangle, with all the universities and all the different folks here that bring a whole lot of, I want to say, brain power to learning new things and doing new things. So what was it like coming to this country?
The first time we moved, we even didn't know where was Raleigh and what we would expect from it. And then we just sold everything and came because I was working for pharmaceutical companies and we had the opportunity to come here and for a transfer and working from one of our office here and they were able to move us to Raleigh. Then it was we really wanted to do that. There were several personal reasons we wanted to move. It was like a long dream from my husband and I.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But we also had a lot of challenges in our life that make us realize that if we are not realizing our dreams now, it may be too late. I almost died from a near-death experience.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
During my second pregnancy.
Yeah.
And we really, after that, really wanted to live for ourselves instead of living for others. And it's why we really decided to be more active in searching to move. And the opportunity arrived like a few months after, and we jumped on it. And we really are happy about what we did and the experience we made on those years.
Yeah.
But we had to return in Belgium at some point. And we really wanted to go back in the US, and we were able to secure a green card through the green card lottery. And with all those paperwork, we finally were able to return in the US and in Raleigh more specifically 3 years ago.
Very nice, very nice. And so you had 2 children. You brought 2 children with you then?
Just one. Because
just one. Oh, okay. Sorry.
One didn't work, yeah. And one is 12, and he really adapted well to the American way.
Good.
He's even more speaking French than English now. We are trying to.
You mean more English than French?
His mind, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so let's go on into how you got into genes and epigenetics. So can you tell us a little bit about your doctor, your PhD? So what your education's in and how you where that interest came from?
Then I did a master in biology, and I followed with a PhD in biology as well, and more specifically in animal behavior at the University of Brussels in Belgium. after that, I jumped into pharmaceutical companies and pharmaceutical worlds, and I worked 10 years there. I was a project manager on clinical trials. Then we were developing really drug from the beginning, from the first in man to the commercialization for treatment for chronic diseases, autoimmune diseases, and rare diseases. Then that was already something, and more I was into those positions. I was more into the scientific way as well, and connecting with physicians that were creating the protocols and technicians that were more developing the drug itself. Then it was really a multidisciplinary position where I was connected with all those parties.
Very nice.
Pretty cool. But at the same time, I was managing my own autoimmune diseases. I have been diagnosed at 15 with vitiligo. The vitiligo is an autoimmune disease that attacks the skin, the cells, the melanin, the cells that are producing the color of your skin. And you end up with white spots in your skin.
What you're talking about, yeah.
I'm pretty white, then you cannot see them a lot.
But I was going to say, when I've seen you, I've never noticed that.
No, but it's why it's really more visible with people of color, but it's as present with white people than other color of skin. It's just that it's not showing up that much.
Got it. Okay.
But it's still present, and it's still part of, the same proportion. And I also have been diagnosed at 25 with Hashimoto. And Hashimoto's an autoimmune disease that attacking the thyroid. Then the thyroid is not able to produce the hormones that it's producing, nor doing the roles that it's supposed to do as efficient as it should. Then that's the two. And those diseases are, at the time, the doctor really did not understand those diseases, and they are like more, we don't know what you have, you are doing fine, all your blood works are normal.
Right.
It's in your head, everything is okay. And then when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto, they just said, take your thyroid hormones, and then you will have to take them all your life, and it will be okay. Just check in every year, and that's it. And I just, I don't have to do anything for it. It was no. And for vitiligo, they say there is nothing to do. Just whatever.
Live with it, right?
Yeah, live with it.
And I've got two friends that have it, and it is extremely, or that have been diagnosed with it, and it's extremely, I want to say, sometimes debilitating, because their body acts in different ways. One friend, I'm not going to say her name, so I'm not going to give it away, but she can't conceive, and they're saying that it has to do with their thyroid. Another friend is tired almost all the, your blood work's normal. She finally found a functional doctor that's given her some other things to work with. But, when they just throw hormones and pills at you, it's not working with your body, right?
No, it's not working on what is the root cause. It's working on putting a bandage on your symptoms. But if you really think about it, the symptoms are an alert from your body saying that something is missing, something is not working well, and just put a bandage on it. It's not really resolving the root causes, and then it's like it's still developing behind the bandage, and it's growing and growing, and then your bandage needs to be bigger and bigger, but it's not right?
That's exactly right. That's what happens.
Then I started to be a little frustrated about all that too. And it's just, that's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
We should find another way. And
Very nice.
I finally discovered about functional medicine like 5 years ago, and by digging in it, I really were kind of excited about, yeah, you can do this. You can take control of your health. You have power. It's what is really, you have hope. You have
Yes.
hope to feel better. It's not normal to have all those symptoms.
Right.
It's not because you are 30, 40, 50. It's not normal to be fatigued all the time, have brain fog, have
No.
memory issues.
Digestive issues, can't
And
sleep, all of
it's
that
not
stuff.
normal. Then by knowing that we can do something about it, it's empowering. It's just, yeah, I can take control.
Yes.
And then at the time we moved back to the US, I needed to quit my job in pharmaceutical. And I was in a transition, like, what I'm doing. Am I going back to pharma, where I was a little not at my place anymore?
Yeah.
Looking too much on alternative ways, and the fact that
Right.
more than just the pills. The pills can be really useful. It's just not that. They should have something more that is complementary. And it's where I decided to train as a health coach. And then I find the autoimmune protocol coaching training that I followed at first for myself. And then I really wanted to share that with my clients. And then I decided to open my business and launch my business as a health coach, specializing in the autoimmune protocol. And in 2018, I had the opportunity to join a 1-year certification on genomic medicine, nutrigenomic, and epigenetic. And I was just, yeah, that sounds the future, because
that's right.
It's what will really allow us to personalize our healing protocol to what is really happening in our genes and really deep in ourselves, and what our body needs really, and how our function are working, and how we can create homeostasis again.
Yes.
Thanks to this information in this database that is there.
Yes. The database of our bodies. Yeah. That's awesome. So this came out of you. It's so funny that when you first said that you were in pharmaceuticals, I was like, oh, you used to do pills, and then, but you really, you developed it. But, now at the same time, I've got to say, just like you said, some needs are great. Sometimes they're perfect solution to save your life or help you out of a short-term situation, but they're not for long-term. It's not the way to manage your body, really.
No, it's for me, it's more either a transition, like if you are really sick and you need a kind of a boost that will really reduce its inflammation because it's life-threatening. In the meantime, that you are doing something for your body to, like on a lifestyle, a diet and lifestyle part, to really shift it. And on the other end, for people that are sick and they have autoimmune and chronic disease for a while, their body will get damages from those diseases, and those damages can take a while to repair and to heal from the body, and they need those drugs to keep their pain and their body working anyway, because of those damage, because they shift and they transition to, in a way, not too late, but late in a way. It has too much damage to the body to be able to go really out of all the drugs. And you could reduce part of your drugs, sometimes get out of some, and some you would need to keep them all your life because it's keeping you in good shape.
Gotcha.
Anyway, then it's why I really feel that the two worlds are complementary and would need to work together much more into the patient itself, and the patient as all it needs. Then it's not just the pill, and sometimes it's not just the holistic way, and you need to be able to compromise both of them together to have the best life with your own disease, with your own genes you have, and not just only one or only the other, or be frustrated or feel like a failure because you still have to take drugs. It's where it's so personalized, and it's where everything is needed. But the conventional way need to open its mind on everything else to make the conventional way more efficient. You cannot just say, I put a bandage. No, you put a bandage and then you help your body heal behind it, and then you can remove the bandage sometime or just keep a part of it.
Right. Thanks for sharing that about the fact that sometimes there is enough damage done to your body that you do need to stay on the medication. So that'll help soften my thought about people, like live the way, anyway. So let's jump into, you spoke briefly about epigenetics, because part of your point, especially with autoimmunity, is you have to eat for your species and you have to eat right. So let's jump into the gene part in the epigenetics. So can you kind of define what epigenetics is for us?
Yeah, you have to visualize that all your body, we are full of cells. We are created with cells. Like, you cannot see it, but all of that's bubbles of cells everywhere that define your body, that define your organs, define the color of your hair, define everything. And all those cells, whatever they are in your body, have exactly the same DNA. In each of them, it's exactly the same DNA. Then some of them will express some genes that will determine the color of your hair, the color of your eyes, the form or the function of your organ. Oh, it's a kidney, oh, it's a heart. But it's the same cell at the beginning, and it's the same DNA. They just express a different way. That they will create a heart, and they will express to create a kidney. They will express to create some hormones that are needed to for the chemical reaction into your body. Then that is epigenetic. It's the fact that some genes will be expressed and some will not be expressed without a change in the DNA code itself. You have the same DNA code, but depending on your environment, some genes will express and some will not express. And the environmental factors can be, where it is located in the body, but it can be the food you eat, what you drink, what you breathe.
The stress that you put yourself under.
Yeah, also your stress, the way you think, the way you move, and how you connect with your environment, or you connect with people, or you connect with nature, how you perceive the thing around you. All of that can impact the expression of specific genes that can be for your health, or more expressing health, or more expressing diseases in a way. Then it can be expressing something positive or something negative for you, really depending on what is around you. And then that is really epigenetics. It's the gene expression.
So, like, I was brought up, and I know I've said this to you before because it's just mind blowing to me. Because I was brought up that your genes are your genes. You know, if your parents are overweight, you're going to be overweight. You know, or if you have like mental disease, you know, some kind of mental situation in your family, then you're potentially going to have a mental situation. You know, all of these things that, you know, for the last 50 years was this is the way it is. You know, accept it. And you're here telling us. So let's talk a little bit more about that, about the gene expression. And so, you know, in when we talk about the epigenetics and the gene expression, then what you're saying is by what the environment we put ourselves in, whether it's physical, mental, even chemical with the foods that we eat, because they're chemicals ultimately, all of that will affect what our genes do and how our bodies perform or how they don't perform.
Yeah, totally.
And potentially, that's so, because, you know, I remember talking with a lot of my friends, like my son has a lot of allergies, and we're like, we don't remember all these peanut allergies when we were young. Mm-hmm. We don't remember all the Hashimoto's. No, we don't remember all these autoimmune issues growing up, but potentially because we've poisoned, just go ahead to say it, we've poisoned our environment, and we continue to poison ourselves when we turn the TV on or when we, you know, whatever it is that we're doing. We're doing it to ourselves, huh? Mm-hmm. We're not victims.
No. On a big part, no.
Wow.
It's not easy. It's just not something that is easy to do.
Right.
We are, as I said, I like to say that we need to respect ourselves, human, as a specific species. We are a human species. Then we need to feed and to interact with our body as we need as a species. Then what our species need, it's like you will not give a steak to a cow because you know that the cow is herbivore. It needs grass.
Right. The cow. Right.
A salad to a lion because the lion just, I need meat. And it's the same for us as human body, as human species. We have certain needs that our body, with those needs, will be able to perform optimally. We need nutrients that will feed our genes, feed our cells, feed all those biochemical reactions that will allow our body to repair the DNA if it's a little damaged. Remove the oxidation from those reactions. Remove the toxins from our body. Boost our immune system. Create hormones. All those reactions need nutrients. And in nutrient, I mean not just protein, carbs, sugar, and fat, but specific type of fat, specific type of protein, and also those macronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the bioactives. We need all of that to be able to create those reactions into our body. It's a need we have. If we are just eating artificial food, fast food, it's empty calories, is not providing us what our body needs. And if you are removing all those parts, the reaction is not complete. It's like you have a mathematical equation where you are missing a lot of parts and you cannot realize it. I cannot do it because I'm missing that. It's like you are doing a recipe. It's a recipe. You are doing recipe and you are missing 10 ingredients. You will not able to do the recipe because you are missing all the ingredients. You can, in a way, swap some ingredient with others. But if you don't have the mandatory ones, it will not be the same. It will not be the same taste. It will not be the same result. It's the same in your body. It's all those recipes need ingredients, and the ingredients are the nutrients. That's the first part on food. And then you have all the other part on stress, trauma, toxins that are adding it to that,
Lifestyle.
that your body needs to resolve. And is our body as a human species is not evolved to stay sit all the time, to
Right,
stay in
for
front of
sure.
the screen all day, to to not be connected with outside all day. We are not evolved that way, and it's creating inflammation in our body. It's against it. And
So we're basically poisoning ourselves and our species to a certain extent. But when you were talking, it really, the clearest thing that I can see is, what is it, type 2 diabetes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that one is the one, at least we've been taught, that through lifestyle, diet choices, that we can prevent type 2 diabetes. And your point is that that goes for a tremendous amount of other things as well.
Oh yeah,
right, not just diabetes.
Yeah, it's everything. It's autoimmune diseases, cancer, it's Parkinson, dementia. Our body is amazing if you provide the right thing. But as I said, there is epigenetic and then there is genetic predisposition as well, that will it's why some people will develop diseases and others will not, because some will be more sensitive to what is outside, what is the impact on your environment, what is the impact of your food, the impact of emotional stress. That will be defined by your predisposition to create disease due to those trigger factors.
Got it.
That can switch those disease on because you have this predisposition. But it's where, again, epigenetics is coming. It's not because you have those predisposition that you will be switched on for those disease. You can keep your disease in dormant state, or you can reverse your disease and switch it off again if you give your body what it needs to switch off those genes.
So, I'm back to diabetes because it's just the easiest thing for me to wrap my head around, because I've seen it so clearly. Like, my grandmother and grandfather ate the same foods, right? She cooked the food and they ate the food. He developed diabetes, a severe case of diabetes, and she ate chocolate pies until, she couldn't make chocolate pie anymore. And that's what she'd have for dinner. She's a woman of her own heart. But anyway, but that explains. So he had the genetic predisposition to pick up diabetes, and she didn't have the genetic predisposition. Plus potentially the way they live their life. If he, as an entrepreneur, he had all his stress,
Yeah, and it can go even deeper. It can be, what is your family history? Or how lived your grandfathers, your grandparents? What happened to them when they were younger? Even those traumas can jump from generation to generation too, and you may be more sensitive to your environment if your parents or grandparents has traumatic emotional stress or traumas in their life, or were out of food for a while during the war, during those camps, all those traumatic events that can impact the next generation as well. Then it's not that simple.
Right? It never is.
No, never is.
Hey, I'm doing everything and it's not working for me. It's not simple. It's really not simple. It's really, really complex. What can trigger a disease and what can switch it off, and we need to work on what is my root cause. And sometimes you go really deep in what is your root cause, and you have to look for you have to spend a lot of time to find what is really your root cause. And sometimes it's just your mindset, the root. It can, and for some people, they may even not have a traumatic event in their life, but the way they are integrating their life can be traumatic for themselves. And they create a trauma that is personal to them. And for people, it's just, you never had really any trauma in your life, but they perceive it as it is. That's for themselves.
Yeah, well, last week we had Claudia on, and she was talking about trauma and the fact that different people have different traumas. You know, it's an event, and, you know, what may be a big deal to somebody may not be a big deal to, you know, so it's in different times, it may feel different. So it's neat. You're talking about trauma, not neat to talk about trauma. We got to talk about trauma, but, you know, to bring it in that it actually can affect your gene expression. If you don't do something about it early enough, when you feel that trauma, go ahead, recognize it. Yes, this has affected me. Yes, I need to seek help for it before it does the damage that you're talking about, that then you're going to have to be on medication for the rest of your life because you didn't deal with it.
Yeah, and it's also like the resilience of the way you have a certain resilience to those potential traumas, a resilience to stress. You can never really decrease or remove the stress around you, but the way you perceive that stress will have a different impact in your health as well. Then it's all those small things that are accumulating themselves, and you can see it as you have a bucket. You have a bucket, and then some will start with a small bucket due to their predisposition, genetic predisposition. Those will start with a big bucket. And then you add it on top in your bucket, inflammation, toxins from outside, stress, not moving enough,
wrong food,
bad, emotion, traumas, and then when your bucket is filled and
overflowing,
your symptoms will show as a disease. And when your symptoms show, it means, hey, I'm full. I cannot take it anymore. You need to do something for me. You need to remove all those things that are creating inflammation to get your bucket empty again, or at least at a level that's not overflowing. And it's what we want to create. It's to have your bucket fill at a certain point that you can live your life, but it's never overflowing. And it's never really creating disease, but it's still keeping a certain level up and down, because it will go up and down, but not flow. Then that is really what.
So if I could jump in, Tish, it seems like one of the things that we're hearing just a lot of times is that folks think of genetics as like the code of life, that's the kind of like the underlying code of life and things of that nature. But it seems to me that from what I'm hearing you say, Dr. Dimension, is that a lot of folks that they have that whole code attitude, and they're almost creating, like we talk a lot on IBM TV about positive attitude, but they're almost creating like a negative attitude. So they're already thinking that they've got the cancer even before they've got the cancer. So even because it's existing in their family, whether it's cancer, whether it's dementia, whether it's a number of the things that are genetically based, from what I'm hearing you say, Dr. Dimension, it's that they are already kind of creating that attitude within their own mindset, and they need to get away from that mindset. So I just want to make sure that that's what I'm hearing you say, and to clarify, because that's what I'm thinking I'm hearing you say, is that there are ways that we can create a more positive attitude, even if we want to know that the genetics are our code of life.
Yeah, totally. And you are really right. We never really take our mindset seriously, but the mindset is really powerful. And what you say, I will get that, at the end you will get it. And if it's something negative and you say, oh, I'm so afraid I will get that, and then you get it, because it's what you put in your mind. You put something and your mind doesn't know the not. It just the action is, it just see the
words.
The words.
Serious.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you write about if you are in the same family, in the same culture, you will act and you will have come the same lifestyle. Sorry. Then if you have predisposition in your family, as you have the same lifestyle, all of them,
right,
you will trigger the disease as well, because you are all in the same way of living. Then it can be, oh, all my family have it. Oh because they are all behaving the same way. Then if you are if you change your way to live, you may change the expression of your genes and then switch off that predisposition and not develop those disease. Then it's possible. It's a mindset way. Just, okay, there is hope.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not doomed because it's running in my family.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. Now, there are some genetic things that I don't necessarily want to change because I like the fact of their genetic mindset. Like one of the things, you can't see my glasses right now, but I've got hazel eyes. So I know that's a genetic thing, and I don't want to change those hazel eyes because that's actually one of the factors that I enjoy about my own appearance and everything. But I know that some folks actually do want to genetically change even things that they see are in their body, be that the color of their hair, be that their eyes, or that things of that nature. So just from a genetic doctor mindset, what do you think about when folks want to change their whatever their features are based on genetics?
That's more complicated because, as I said, there is epigenetic and epigenetic. It's just, you cannot, if you, whatever your lifestyle, you will never change your kidney to a liver.
Right.
It's a kidney. It's developed that way and it cannot change, but it can heal and repair, but it cannot change to another organ. And the color of your hair, the color of your skin, and your eyes, it's something that is set. You cannot change those part of it, except if you are going into GMO, and some companies are starting to do that, GMO with human. And they will edit your DNA to change your genes and put another code inside your genes to, for example, remove a predisposition to disease, or remove some specific genetic mutation this time that is really impacting your health and your ability to live longer. And that is something that is really different. And mutation is also really different. You cannot, with the epigenetic, you cannot change your code itself. Then if you have a genetic mutation, you cannot change it. It will still impact your health and you cannot do anything from it because it's a real mutation. It's not the way that your gene is expressing something that if you do another way, it will not express it. Yeah. And it's important to understand the difference because, yes, you can do a lot about predisposition to disease, the thing that you can, something that can switch on and off a predisposition. But if you have a mutation to a specific disease, you have still you develop as an embryo, as a baby. Mm-hmm. You will not be able to change that mutation. It's there, except if you are going into specific companies that are editing your DNA now, and it's still not applicable right now, but they are in research on that. There's a lot of companies that is doing that. They want to do that.
And just one other question, and I'm going to turn it back over to Tish, but she knows that I might come up with more questions as we go along. But just one other question that I was curious about and everything. You mentioned the DNA and its connection to the genes and everything. But one thing that is going on, I know in America, but I think even in the world, and I don't know what your thoughts are, but it's that what I call DNA politics. So it's like folks that are trying to figure out their identity based on those DNA tests.
Right,
so I was just wondering what you thought of those and whether they're even worth going to. Because I've had some friends that have been shocked by some of the results they found because they found that they had more European blood than they thought that they might have had, or vice versa. So I know that there's a number of those kind of DNA studies, but I don't know what your thoughts are on that. But I would just be curious to know what you think as a gene expert about DNA studies.
Oh, you mean like your DNA and ancestry? You have to know what your ancestor. For me, it's if you're really looking at the history of human, we are all from the same region.
Right.
And we spread it, and then we spread it all across Europe and all across Asia, and then we crossed the ocean to go to the US. And some that were in the US before us are also coming from. We all have the same ancestry at the end, whatever we are coming from. Right. And I want to go back to what Tish was saying. We are all human and we are all from Earth. Right. And whatever we are coming from, we are all the same and we are all human from the same species. And whatever our color of your skin, whatever your religion, whatever your beliefs, we are all human. As a species. And it may be interesting to know. Personally, I don't know, because as I said, we are all from the same ancestry at the end. Yeah. And it may impact sometime, I may be more Irish than British or more like from Europe. Anyway, most of the Americans are from Europe, right? And
quite a few. Yeah.
Most of the Americans that came after the,
initial,
the Native American, then, we are all from the same place. Yeah. And we are a nice and wonderful mix of everything and everywhere.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That's the attitude that I have as well, that it's very much the universal kind of appeal that we all have, those good qualities that most of us share. So definitely I agree with you that we're all under that umbrella of the humanity and not necessarily like the division points. But I do know that sometimes folks do the division points and they even use like genes sometimes to be that dividing point. So I'm glad that you have that very positive attitude about not letting that be a division point, because unfortunately it becomes too much of a division thing in our society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, people let fear get in the middle and then they just look for reasons to create walls.
Right.
Which is really a shame. But I want to go back to something you said, Ludi, and we haven't talked about this before, but that's fascinating. So GMO, my son and I have been going back and forth, and I'm like, GMO foods, that's part of what's happening and part of what's poisoning our bodies because it's not natural, it's not real. We don't know, things shouldn't come out of a petri dish. Even though you're a scientist and I respect science, still, I don't know that I want my food coming out of a petri dish. I don't know that, or any of that kind of business. So what are your thoughts? Let's just talk about GMO food first and then talk about GMO humans next, if I heard you correctly. But so GMO foods, what's your thought on GMO foods?
GMO food, it's tricky. You have to understand what is really GMO food.
Okay.
GMO food is, you have different species of plants, for example, and the producer will look at all the species and will know that, that species, they are having a chemical that is making them resistant to that kind of...
a bug or something.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then this one the species is resistant to humidity, or on the contrary, resistant to not having enough water, or whatever. And then they are going into the genes and taking the genes that's specific to that adaptation, and they are using bacteria to put the gene on and then introduce the genes into the new species. And then they are creating a new species that would never be created naturally if you are mixing the species together, like with the pollen and then
the natural ways.
They will really introduce a piece of DNA into another species with a specific agent that has the ability to apply that genes into the DNA.
Okay.
And at the end, that agent is still there. Then first, for me, GMO is kind of dangerous because you still have that agent that can pick your DNA and put it somewhere else. The second part is...
That's a whole thing right there, because then what is it doing to our genes as part of the assumption, or we don't know?
Yeah, we don't know. Then that is the first question that for me is dangerous.
Wow.
The second one, they are creating GMO to be resistant to chemicals and pesticides.
That's interesting.
Then what they are doing is the GMO, especially in the US, the GMO they are creating them to be resistant to the pesticide and the weed killers.
Okay, right.
And then back that they can spray all the fields with weed killers without killing the plant itself. And then they don't have to do anything else. They just spray. Then it means that the GMO is done to be sprayed. Then most of the GMO plant will have a lot of pesticide.
That's a whole other point.
Because they are creating for that. Instead of leaving the nature doing what it needs and having a field with weeds, but with pests that will eat the other pests, like insects that will eat the bees that will pollinize, and maybe another kind of plants that will counterbalance, and like creating, shift culture to reach the soil, and having, for example, animals in the fields to enrich the soil and to eat the weeds. It's really, that's the natural way of doing it, because you introduce all the part of nature that is interconnecting to each other, and that is kind of helping each other
100%.
grow. But if you remove all of that, okay, you will have weed. You remove the animals, oh yeah, you have weed. And then you remove the weeds, or you don't have the insect that is going in the weeds to kill your pest.
Right.
Then you have pests. Okay, then I need to put, pest killers on top of the weed killer. And then you just, oh yeah, I have pests, but now I have too much sun, or my soil is dry because I don't have enough weed around.
Right.
I don't water too much, and then I'm using a lot of water. And it just, the industrialization is going into a negative circle that way. And it's where it's really, as a consumer, be using your money to go into what is a production that is respecting nature.
Yeah.
When it's respecting nature, it will respect my own body. Because you will have, if you are going into sustainable production and regenerative production, you will go into plants and animals that respect their own nature, that will be out of chemicals, that will be full of nutrients, with a soul that is rich as well. then it will bring you much more and will feed your body and your cells and your genes much more. And yeah, it will be a little more expensive because it's more complicated and you have to do it in smaller batch.
Wow.
But it will keep yourself in good health longer. And it's in a way an investment for yourself in a long-term way, where several years later you will not be sick and need a lot of money to resolve your diseases.
That's when you say that it's, cheaper or whatever, it's not in the long run because it's poisoning us as a species.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you explaining scientifically because my son and I get in this. He's like, GMO's good, GMO's good. I'm like, it's bad. I don't know why it's bad, but it's bad because I knew it was good. Anything against, I feel like we're organic beings. I mean, animal science, we're animals, we're natural beings, right? And the further away we get from the natural way, I feel like the further our health, or the more our health could be, in a precarious situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. Dr. Doody, the other thing I was going to add is I did a little bit of quick research because that's what I do. And I saw that you have, in your own life, you've gotten away from two things. And I know one of them is very trendy because it talks about, one of your bio pages talks about you being gluten-free. And I know that that's very much something that people are very much encouraging us to be, is gluten-free. But it also said that you had not been drinking dairy products for a number of years as well. So I was wondering if you could talk about that, because I know that a lot of times, even in society, we're taught that dairy is this wonderful thing, get the cow from milk and all of that. But I have also heard that it's not all that wonderful. And I don't have any right now, but I've been a cat owner in the past. And I know that, speaking of animals, that the stereotype was that cats were supposed to drink milk. And we then later found out that it's very bad for them. So I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about the gluten and the dairy-free aspect of your life.
Okay. The gluten and dairy, it's not the same than where we were, like our ancestors. You can say, oh yeah, my ancestor was eating gluten, my ancestor was eating dairy. But first of all, it's not the same. It's transformed gluten and it's transformed dairy, or it's transformed dairy in a way that it's conventional cow, like production of the cow. It means that it's not a cow that is running in a field, in a pasture for most of the dairy we find in a grocery store. It's a cow that is put in a box for all her life and that are fed a certain way, like that they can be big and produce a lot of milk. And they are just suck from their milk all the time. It's just not natural either. Yeah. And first, that's the first thing. But the second thing is the gluten we know now is rich in a certain substance called zonulin. And this substance in our actual world is a lot inflammatory for our gut. It's going into our gut. It's changing the in your gut. What is really specific at that place, it's you just have one layer of cells that is separating the interior of your gut with the exterior of your gut. And the gluten is kind of creating gap into those cells instead of those cells staying together and just making pass the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are essentials and stopping the bigger molecules. They will become loose due to a lot of, it's not just the zonulin, but the zonulin is acting as losing those connections and those bonds between the cells and making a little more loose. And then you add that more inflammation, you add that stress, and you add, our lifestyle. It means that our gut is a little leaky, and it's like we are having a leaky gut, and some bigger molecules will go and go outside of the gut. outside of the gut, you have your immune system that is the richer part of the immune system is around the gut. Then what will happen is those immune system cells, they will see those gluten molecules are foreign molecule and say, hey, what's that? It's not supposed to be inside my body, because normally it's just going through the gut and then you just get the nutrient from your food. But the molecule from the gluten is not supposed to be outside in your body. Then your immune system says, hey, I have to attack that because that's a foreign
object, right?
Then is creating immune cells to attack the gluten. And then if you are eating a lot of gluten and have a leaky gut and have this immune system that attacking your gluten molecules, it will create more and more and more immune cells that will be created. And at a certain point, if you have a high inflammation in your body, at a certain point, it will be confused, and then we attack everything that looks like your gluten molecules. And inside our body, we have several cells and receptors that looks like the gluten cell molecule. And then at some point, if it's like, I like the analogy of you have military guys. They are overwhelmed. They are tired. It's been so long. They are fighting and they are stressed and, just ready to sleep. And then they are in a room. They are entering in a room with fog that is foggy and they cannot see anything. And then they will hear a sound and they will fire everywhere on everything. And then they will fire on themselves. And then they will kill themselves. And then the body is kind of doing that when it's so inflamed that it will create a confusion and it will attack your own cells from your own organ because it looks like the same.
Oh, wow.
Then the gluten is one of the most inflammatory food, the modern gluten that we have now. It's one of the most inflammatory food for that properties. And dairy products have kind of the same properties if you are selecting a specific kind of dairy that is the A1 dairy. I think it's coming from the cow that are produced industrially. And there is one, the A2 kind of dairy. It's a little less inflammatory. And it's mostly more ancestral cow species. And it will be more like camel and goat and those other animal milk. More into those A2 style dairy. And that dairy is a little less inflammatory. But it still have, for some people that have a lot of inflammation, can be inflammatory as well, because your body can recognize the same molecule as your body molecules. You have similarities between your own cells and the dairy cells. And it's why for people with autoimmune disease, we recommend to cut the gluten and the dairy because it's the two big parts that are inflammatory. There is a lot of other food that are inflammatory that I removed as well through the autoimmune protocol. And the autoimmune protocol that I'm using, it's a specific protocol that has been developed scientifically for people with autoimmune diseases or inflammatory diseases. And this protocol is removing all the food that have inflammatory properties for a certain amount of time, like an elimination diet on the food part, because there is different part on the protocol, and the food part is to eliminating those foods that are known to be inflammatory for a lot of people or for specific substance there is inside those foods. And also to ensure that you are adding a lot of nutrient-rich food, like good quality meat, like meat that live in a pasture, like that was grass-fed and that was sustainable and regenerative. A lot of vegetables that are free of chemicals, a lot of fruit. Like eating nutrient-rich food will also reduce your inflammation.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of information.
Amazing. Great advice there. Just out of curiosity, Dr. Ludi, what kind of advice would you give? I've got a friend that's going through, and has gone through it for a number of years. Actually, I've got a few friends that have Crohn's disease, and also some others that are dealing with things like MS and are more along those kind of lifelong diseases that they might be fighting for 25, 30 years, who knows how long, but just those kind of diseases that are to some degree gene based. So what kind of advice would you give for them in terms of maintenance, in terms of like trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle for as long as they can stay on the planet? And I'm hoping that for them that's going to be 70 to 100 years or however long we can keep them on here.
Yeah, and all the diseases you mentioned are considered as autoimmune disease. Then it's the process that I explained, that you have your inflammation, and due to a high inflammation, it's attacking itself. Then it's really creating auto antibodies against yourself. And what is critical when you have an autoimmune disease like rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, lupus, Hashimoto, like I have, vitiligo, even Parkinson is supposed to have immune system related issues, and Alzheimer and dementia too. The goal is to reduce the inflammation in your body, because if you keep that inflammation high, especially when you are also taking medication, you may induce your body to create other autoimmune disease, because he is on a stage where he's like, I'm really inflamed and then I'm attacking everything. The goal is to empty your bucket of inflammation by removing what is inflammatory for your body, by starting an elimination diet, a nutrient-rich diet, really feed your body and feed your bioreaction to make them happen, to make them repair and heal your body. But it's not just the food. As I said, there is mindset, sleep. I'm amazed how kids in America, they are going to bed at midnight to go to school at 6 in the morning. It's not enough. They need 10 to 12 hours of sleep for the body to create, to repair, and to grow. Human adults, they would need 7 to 9 hours of good sleep, repairing sleep. But if you are not eating well, you will not sleep well. You are too stressed, you will not sleep well either. Then they are all interconnected. By reducing your stress or increasing your resilience to stress, having a better sleep, for example, a routine at bedtime, and by eating better, and by drinking a lot of water and not alcohol or sugar, and also to go outside and move and connect with nature.
Yes.
All those parts that may seem silly in a way, they are not silly. They are part of what you are and what your body needs. And we are forgetting that because of our modern society. But it's what our species needs. And it's what makes our body heal and repair.
It sounds like you're saying that we need to do the same things that we encourage the kids to do when they're very little. I don't have any kids of my own, but I do have nephews. But we're often telling like the young kids that are like under 10 to, sleep a certain amount of hours, turn off the TV, do all the things that our parents and our grandparents told us to do. It sounds like that's what you're saying, that the adults of the world need to do as well. So we need to actually follow the advice that we've been giving our kids forever in our own lives, is what I'm hearing you say, Dr. Ludy. Is that correct?
Yeah, on a big part. And if you are interested, I also have like a free ebook on my website with explaining the epigenetic, a little about how it works, and the 7 best foods to boost your good genes. And you can have a look there, and you will have all the information about what food is the best and what food it's not that good to eat for your.
We could do even better than that, Dr. Ludy. Dr. Ludy, if you want to tell the audience right now, verbally, your website, I'm actually going to go down to this thing that we have called banners, and I'm going to reiterate what you just told me and everything so that it streams on the bottom of the screen. So if you'll just tell me right now, and I'll try to get it spelled correctly on the banner, we will have it on there on a couple of ways that folks can see it. So tell us about how they can find you, and I will also put that information on a banner.
Yeah, it's www.healthywithludy.com. That's my website, and you can go in books, and you have a free ebook you can download there. And I also have 2 cookbooks you can buy if you are interested to have great recipes, nutrient-rich, and non-inflammatory food. I can also be followed in Instagram. And Instagram, it's also Healthy with Ludy. And on Instagram, I sharing the food I eat, because I want people to see that even if you are not eating grains, dairy, legumes, seeds, nuts, and a lot of eggs and other inflammatory food, you can still eat delicious and tasty food that are not difficult necessarily to prepare. Then in Instagram, I'm more sharing the food that I'm preparing, and then the producer that I'm using as well here in RTP, because I'm using local regenerative producers for my meat and my fish. And on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. On Facebook, it's also Healthy with Ludy or Ludy the Maintain. And on LinkedIn is Ludivine or Ludy the Maintain as well.
Now, Ludy, you said that you also have something that a chronic wellness collective. Can you tell us about that?
Oh yeah, I'm member of the board of director of a nonprofit organization that is called Chronic Wellness Collective.org, if you want to search that as well. And it's a group of women that are mostly nurse coaches and health coaches that are providing wellness program of 8 weeks. It's an 8-week wellness program to educate women on all the aspects of health and how to take control and empower yourself to take control of your health. It's really, they want to have those education affordable for everybody. Then it's like $75 for the program for the members and $150 for non-members. It's really not expensive compared to other programs. They also have a community part, then you can be part of the community and share your experience with your chronic diseases. And they are really connecting people together to share the experience of living with a chronic disease and take control and feel better. And they have a program starting on Monday.
Oh, wow.
That if you still want to be part of the program, you can jump on their website and register for the program. It's wonderful women that are giving their time to make people feel better.
Mm-hmm. And help people learn about the bodies, because, as we've talked about, we don't, so many of us don't know how to manage, take care of this body that we were given.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really part of what we're talking about, is that so many of us we see that food pyramid, right? And we think if we follow the pyramid, we're doing good. But there's so many other aspects. I mean, really, food is a chemical. I mean, it's part of what I'm hearing you say too.
Oh, and yeah.
Food causes the chemical reactions, and it can either be a great chemical reaction and help you grow big and strong and healthy and like positive and be able to make great changes in society, or the other way, food can almost kill you, right? And then cause your mindset. You don't want to help. You don't want to be part of any solution. Instead, you're part of the problem, right? So again, food is chemical versus, like, for me, it was, even though it's chemical, there's so many years I used food just as comfort, right? Like, I love chocolate.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, is that some of the foods also have like I guess those kind of like chemical things that they give you, chocolate being one of them. So they give us like this rush to some degree.
Yeah.
And sometimes I guess we have to control it, even if we love it. Because I hate to tell you this, Dr. Ludy, but I love my ice cream. So I'm going to have to like try to find a way to get away from that if I want to get off of my get on more of a dairy-free thing. Because I sometimes go and I get my ice cream.
There is non-dairy ice cream. I'm an ice cream person too. Ben & Jerry's Super New York Fudge Chunk, thank you very much. But there's this company called So Dairy, and they have a bunch of different non-dairy products out there. Now, I don't know really, Ludy, chemically if they're decent, if I'm doing the right, is it a good switch or is it just a switch? But Mark, I'm telling you, they even have something that is, it's got this chocolate.
There is a lot of alternatives that are
now.
Just be careful about some alternatives that have so many other ingredients inside that they are not necessarily healthy. It's not because it's gluten-free that it's healthy, and it's not because it's dairy-free that it's healthy. Most of them will switch the dairy and the gluten with sugar, or will gums, or will with processed oils, and then alternatives are not necessarily better. You really have to learn to read a label and be sure that what is on the label is looking good for you. And the best is to make your own ice cream and to put what you can eat inside. I'm making my own ice cream with my ice cream maker. I can do like cherry chocolate ice cream. Or
Mark, we'll head over to our house when we're done.
So I think we're heading over to Dr. Ludy's shortly, so we can get some of that ice cream. And I do remember getting great ice cream and homemade ice cream from my parents, and I used to love that homemade ice cream. And I know I'll even go out. I mean, we're in the middle of summer right now, so folks aren't thinking about it. But when we're in wintertime, I remember making snow cream and things of that nature. So definitely there are things that you can do that are really cool with the ice cream makers and things of that nature. That's going to be more natural, like what Dr. Ludy's talking about. And I've actually recently bought a blender, so I've been making a couple of fruit smoothies and things of that nature. I've been lazy with it, so I need to get back to getting some more apples and bananas and actually making those fruit smoothies. But I remember when I first got the blender, I was having a field day making all kinds of fruit and vegetable smoothies. So I do believe in the power of smoothies for sure and everything. Dr. Ludy, could you talk to our listeners and everything that are watching from the globe about the necessity for water? Because I know that this is part of our necessary diet, and actually Kim Calhoun, one of our primary folks that runs the whole network. She was talking about that she tries to get the right amount of water on a regular basis. And I see that I just saw Tish grab hers and everything. But that being said, what is the right amount of water that we should have? Because I know I'm sometimes very lazy on that, or I'll get soda, or I'll get this other drink that is very Southern and very much a probably bad drink because it's full of sugar. But I will admit my addictions. I love my sweet tea, and I will definitely get my sweet tea. But how much water should I get, and do I have to give up my sweet tea?
That's a good question. Water is essential because your body is mostly formed with water. I think it's 80% of your body is water. Then you can easily be dehydrated without really thinking about it. Then it means if you have the feeling that you are thirsty, you are already dehydrated.
Oh, wow.
Dehydrated, sorry. Then it means that it's already not too late, but you are already waiting too long. Then be sure you are hydrating several times a day and consistently. It's always difficult with the change of metrics with the units. What I understood here in the US, you have to drink. That's pretty weird, but it's your weight in kilos. You have to drink your weight in kilos in O's. Then if I'm weighing 50 kilos, I have to drink 50 O's.
Okay, ounces, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Then it's kilos, it's around 1 pound something in pound.
I'm sure Google will tell us.
The metric confused with the pound and the O's. But if you are not like a water drinker, and that because you don't like the taste of water, you can always creating fruity flavored water by putting fruit in your water, or cucumber or mint, and you keep it in your fridge, and it will infuse those fruits and vegetables into your water and make a better taste if you don't like the plain taste of water. What is also essential about water is the quality of your water. Tap water in the US and even in Europe is not really a good quality water. It's even if it's filtered or clean, it still have chlorine, fluoride, and bacteria that you can still find chemicals, pesticides, pharmaceutical drugs, and other type of substance into the tap water. Then having a filter for your water is the best. Like either you have a really good quality water filter, or you can use reverse osmosis water. At least in that way, you have always full availability of water without going in the store to buy some. You can also buy some reverse osmosis water in big container that are more efficient, and then you can reuse the container. In the way to reduce your waste in plastic bottled water, because also most of the plastic water, the water in plastic bottles are not really good water. For most of them, it's even tap water that they put on the bottle and sell you as a good water, or it's also some are reverse osmosis water. Then really be careful of what you look at the labels if you have to buy a plastic bottle. What I don't like on the plastic bottle is, especially in the summertime, the plastic will fuse into your water and you will drink the plastic particles from your bottle. And in the summer, it's even worse because with the heat, it will even more fuse plastic particles into your water. Then never drink a water that stay in the plastic bottle for all day in your car, because it's just a bottle full of plastic that will toxify your body, and your body will need to process all that plastic and get rid of it. Then be careful about the plastic bottles and plastic everything. In a matter of fact, it's not
no, I'm definitely trying to be controlling with the plastic and things of that nature. There's actually an organization here in North Carolina that does a lot of that, kind of try to get us away from plastics and things of that nature. So I'm actually friends with some of the people that are behind that. One of our producers here on IBN.TV, Jim Eade, was making comments. He was a big fan of smoothies as well, and he was letting us know that he needs, and I know he's got some health issues as well, because he shared that on our different platforms and different shows, but he says that he needs 100 ounces a day in order for him to get by on everything. So he definitely said that equals up to him to be about 8.5 ounce, 12-ounce glasses a day, roughly. So does that sound right to you? That should be a good kind of like figure to go with?
Yeah, something like that. I would say for a man, 100 ounces, it seems logical. Yeah.
Now, Mark, I want to go back to something you said about sweet tea.
Yes.
That used to be my thing. I mean, I wanted that. Sweet tea was for years and years. I think it was partly, my stress. Oh, I'm going to get a sweet tea and it's going to be better. And it's 3:00. I get a sweet tea. Oh, anyway, it was my thing. And my body started, not to be way too personal, but my digestive tract started falling apart. And I started, oh no, because I don't like to go. Honestly, I don't like to go Western doctor first because I feel like they do want to give pills. They'd give me scopes. They'd give me pills. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to figure out what the problem was. And, and I even tried cooking, what I thought was healthy. But now, Ludi, I need to think so much more about the chemicals that are in the food that I'm cooking. But and then finally, I was like, right before I went to the doctor, I was like, let me just quit drinking sweet tea and just see what happens. Within 2 weeks, everything was back. I could even eat spicy food again. I mean, all these foods that I thought I wasn't able to eat, I could eat again. So the sugar was poisoning me is what was happening, I think.
Yeah, and the sugar in all those drinks like the sweet tea and the soda will disturb your gut bacteria. And your gut bacteria needs to be a certain diversity of bacteria that will allow you to have a balance that will protect your body. Even the microbiome is even creating hormones. They even create vitamins through the food you are eating. They are amazing. They are part of us, but we also need to take care of them like we would take care of a pet. We cannot give them food that will make them sick or make some that are not good in a big number grow too much. We need that balance to maintain a good health as well. It has been shown that the gut bacteria has an impact on your brain function. Then if your gut bacteria is not balanced, your brain function is not optimal either.
Wow.
Then it's mean that nourish your microbiome is as important as nourish your loved one or your pet or everything else around. It needs the same thing than your cells. It needs good nutrients. It needs no chemicals. It needs kind of the same thing than us. They are part of us. Then they are really sensitive to sugar, especially because some bacteria will eat the sugar, will process the sugar. But if you have too much of those bacteria, you will create an imbalance, and then you can develop candida or SIBO or disturbing your GI functions. And sugar is really difficult to get out because it's considered as a more addictive drugs than cocaine.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, I mean, not that I know about being addicted to cocaine or anything, but my God, that sugar, because when I was trying to, now luckily I was grateful because my stomach, my body was forcing it on me. So I, each day I went without sugar, it got better and better. So, it was, I want to say almost, it told me what to do and I just listened. But then
you need to listen to your body, and we also need to make that more often. Really listening to your body, listen to the symptoms, listen to if I'm eating that or I'm feeling, and if I'm not eating that, am I feeling better?
Yeah.
And is it really worth it to eat that crappy stuff? Or because if you are not feeling good, it means that something is wrong for your body. It's not just you are not feeling good. No, it's just that it's not good for you if you are not feeling good. And to really reduce your sugar, one of an advice that is good is really to do baby steps, like have a non-sweet tea mixed to a sweet tea, and then you increase the quantity of the unsweet tea that you are taking to the point that you are going to an unsweet tea. And the best is even to do your sweet tea yourself, because like that you are sure about the source of your tea and not a tea that is processed with a lot of chemicals. That is the case for a lot of tea brands.
Yeah.
And you don't know what they are adding in the tea for the color. Sometimes they are adding artificial colors to make it brighter, or other colors, whatever.
Right.
Then you can do your own sweet tea, but reduce your sugar intake really slowly, and you will see that your taste buds will change. Before I was drinking my tea with sugar, and now I don't like my tea with sugar. I find that's not good at all. But it's you cannot do that from one day to another.
Right.
If you do it really gradually, you would be able to get out of the sugar, at least in your drink, and it's already a good start. It's baby step, it's key.
The change, making the decision and committing to the change to eat for your body and our species, right?
Yeah.
Versus can I go back to something you said though? I have something about the leaky gut. Do you mind if we talk about that for another minute? Because I've got friends that have leaky gut. I hear more and more about leaky gut, and what you said makes total sense, But so once your gut, once it's kind of open to give that thing, okay, two questions. One, what happens to that gluten or whatever gets outside? How does that ever get out of your body like it's supposed to? That's one question. The second question is, does that close back up? So if you start eating the way you should and you take the inflammatory foods out, then does it start to close back up so that then, it'll...
Yeah,
okay,
it's started to close it back up.
Okay.
When you reduce the inflammation, your gut will heal and will go back together again, and the bond will straight back up, because it's like bonds it's like a elastic band.
Okay.
It's just trying to explain, but it's like an elastic band that's coming to be too loose, and then you get back together. It will strain back the elastic band by giving it up the right nutrient again. It's always a wrong nutrient, but but what you need to make it strong again, then that will repair, and then your cells are repairing themselves as well. They are not living eternally the same age than you, your cells will generate new cells and will repair and changing each other. And then that's the first thing. And the second one, when your gluten molecules or your other big molecules are going through your leaky gut, it's taking your immune system has different kind of cells, and some cells are specialized in to pinpoint the foreign cells, the foreign molecule, and it's where you have your immunity that is creating. Okay, that's the target. Okay. Then you are creating the target, and then you have those antibodies that will come and that will eat the molecule and will dissolve it.
Okay.
And then it's disappearing. But your body needs to create all those cells, and to create all those cells, they need biochemical reactions again to create those cells and replace and excrete what's left from the gluten molecule out of your body.
So is that why? So I did Robin Thomas's Gut Matters program earlier this year. I love her to death. And she got me, I knew that gluten and I knew all of it was bad, but she got me over the hump to make it happen. The first thing I noticed, Ludi, was my energy. Right? Like the first 3 days, and I think I even saw you that day. I felt like I was like, woo, I just felt so, I had more energy than I have had in years, and without like eating something to give me energy. It was just, my body was just like, wow. So is that part of it? So as you stop eating inflammatory foods, then your immune system stops having to work so hard, so then your energy can go somewhere else?
Yeah, it's totally that. It's just...
That explains it.
Yeah, it's dividing the work.
Yeah.
And the energy is dividing in everything the body needs to do.
Yeah.
Then if you have a lot of inflammation, it will have to fight against a lot of chemicals, detoxifying.
All that stuff, right.
Trying to repair. Each time there is damage, it's repairing after and repairing all the time. And then it's like you are cutting and repairing, cutting, repairing.
Yeah.
No doubt. Tish, Dr. Ludi, I hate to say this, but it seems to me that if I'm hearing y'all correctly, I'm sorry. But
your energy will be focused for your physical, like your brain and your muscles, and everything else will go into those. The energy will go into the other functions than just repairing and detoxifying all the thing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's real awesome, because Tish and Dr. Ludi, if I'm hearing y'all right, and I think I'm hearing y'all right, just like I heard y'all right earlier, y'all are actually gonna like drive the pharmaceutical industry and the commercial industry totally crazy, because they've made this whole business of trying to get folks to buy products based on the leaky guts and things of that nature. I don't care whether it's adult diapers or whether it's some of the other products that are out there, but they've made a whole industry of these things that probably can be repaired if we would just change our day-to-day habits versus going to buy whatever the product is, buying whatever the things that folks are doing. Because as I'm hearing you talk, you're like saying that, no, we can actually fix the body, that whatever you're going through that's causing these embarrassing moments in folks' lives doesn't have to happen, because you can change your diet in a lot of the cases and it won't happen anymore because your body will repair itself. That's what I think I'm hearing you say, Dr. Ludi.
Yeah.
But you said that you also have to catch it, because if too much damage is done, then you may still have to do the medication and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but it's really specific medication that are for that kind of damages. But it's true that all those chemicals, like if you have heartburn or you have like plenty. I was surprised the first time I arrived in the US that you can buy plenty of drugs in your supermarket, which is well, you should buy in a pharmacy. But it is just, and then there is like so many different variety of everything. It just why there is so many of all of those. But yeah, it's for every symptoms, as I said, it's your body is telling you that something is not working optimally, and you may be able to repress these symptoms by eating what your body needs or providing what your body needs, not just the food, of course.
Yep.
And so on, as we said.
Yep. That's some great advice that you're giving and everything. Because as you were talking, I was also thinking about the fast food industry and how sometimes they will try to do what I consider almost like an okie doke. They'll try to give you the healthy ingredients or the healthy foods as an option, but then they're also selling the burger. So when you drive by, you might think for a quick second about that healthy item, but then you go and make your move for the unhealthy item. So it's like they provide you a healthy option because the society has told them that they want that healthy option. But it's my opinion that most of us, because of the quickness of society, are rushing toward the non-healthy item. At least that's what I've observed from my own habits and others.
Yeah, and I think you have also to see that as not necessarily healthy or not healthy. It's more the ingredients that will be healthy or not healthy. I love eating hamburger at my home, but I will do it like with pasture-raised and grass-fed beef or bison with good quality veggies that we put with no chemicals, that are local, or with with a sauce that I made myself, or that I know the ingredients are good. Then there is that part. It's just not, the hamburger is not necessarily unhealthy. It's the way it's created that is unhealthy. Is the ingredient they are using. It's cheap oil that is artificial, that your body cannot recognize. It's a beef that is raised in a box and fed with nickels and stuff that poor animal is not supposed to eat, and stressed and everything. And it's with a cheese that is not a cheese. It's just
it's not a cheese.
And fats that are really bad for you. It's not because the hamburger is not good. It's all the ingredients that are creating that hamburger that is not good for you. And because it's so cheap, you cannot do all those ingredients on a good quality so cheap. It's not possible.
Which is wonderful. So you're basically saying, for the most part, we can eat the burger. We can even eat, fries to a certain extent, depending on
fries. I'm eating burger, but I'm eating my version of fries, my version of burger, and I'm eating chicken wings, my version of it. I'm eating meatloaf, meatballs, and also some kind of pasta. You can do also vegetable pasta with spaghetti squash or with zucchini, or even they have also good quality now, grain-free pasta. Even good quality rice is good too. Then it's just focusing on quality. It's even if you are eating less, you will get more of it. Then you will be fulfilled. Is more like faster. Then you will need less food, but more nutrients. And then at the end, it's kind of balancing. You will spend more money on good quality food, and you will not waste your money on fast food or expensive coffee or expensive sodas that are not good for you, that are empty calories. But you will redirect your money into good quality food and good quality lifestyle. At the end, you will save money on the long term.
So I know we're getting close. We're already past 2, but there's a whole other thing that we haven't talked about, and I'm just going to spring this out, and I hope you don't mind. But I was listening to someone talk last December, and their point, I think, seems very valid. And they said the majority of diseases, especially those that we can prevent, start like in our 20s and 30s. They start young, but we don't see the symptoms until our 40s and 50s. So many of us, once again, back to my original point, are walking around saying, oh, it's just age. This is what happens. But no, it's all the stuff we did in our 20s and 30s, right?
Yeah. And for that, it's, in a way, our body is amazing because it will be able to counteract when you are missing nutrients. It will find a plan B for every reaction that it cannot complete because it's missing an ingredient. It's really creative in the recipe and say, okay, I cannot have that. I will take that and I will take that. But it will take more energy to the body to create those. And with time, it will anyway create nutrient deficiencies, and nutrient deficiencies will increase the optimization of the reaction and will increase the efficiency of the reactions. And then you will start after a time to get fatigue and to get symptoms and to feel bad and to feel sick. That's one explanation. The other explanation on specifically the autoimmune diseases is you create your autoantibodies around 10 to 15 years before really having all the symptoms of diseases.
Oh, wow.
Your body can, as my first explanation, can walk around it at a certain point. It's totally like your bucket that is full at a certain time. Yeah. You will feel awesome, and then from one day to another, just I'm sick, or I cannot do it anymore.
Right.
I don't know. It's like you are running and you feel great, and then after 10 kilometers, you are just
done.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Because you run too fast at the beginning, and then you will not be able to do the long distance. Then it's the same for your body. It can adjust. It's why it's amazing, but it cannot adjust at a certain point where you will just give up. It's just, okay, that's too much for me. I cannot handle that anymore. And it's why you have the feeling that, I feel great. And then, I'm not feel great anymore. Yeah. But it's developing inside you. And some people, it will take 50 years to get symptoms. Others will take 10 years to get symptoms. And it's what we said at the beginning, depending on your predisposition and the size of your bucket, your body will have a certain resilience to everything that is attacking it. For some that is longer and some that are shorter. But it's the same principle. If you are not taking care of your body at one time over another, it will get back to you.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to get back to you for sure. The other thing that always amazes me, and it kind of comes back to what Tish was talking about, was I'm always amazed when you see those shows with the centurions and the folks that have made it to 100. And by the way, I've told Tish that I'm going to try to, and the other people on IBM.TV, I'm personally going for 200. I know it's an impossible goal, but I'm going for that 200 and everything. But that being said, I'm amazed sometimes when you see these folks that are being honored on whatever the networks are and everything, and they talk about they're 100 years old, and then they ask them what they did to make it to that lifestyle, and they usually tell you everything that you're not supposed to do. They talk about how they have
whiskey,
drank, been in all kinds of relationship situations, but it's all the things that you're not supposed to do is what they claim is how they made it there. So just from a scientific standpoint, how does one get to 100 and a gene standpoint, or hopefully beyond that, in your opinion, Dr. Luthi?
Yeah, it's just, they may not be sensitive to what they use, but they have other part of their lifestyle that they make for their body, that the body work optimally and was counteracting what they had, like their addiction in a way, or I smoke all my life, but maybe they were like healthy in the other part of their life, and they were not sensitive or predisposed to smoking being a trigger. And that's really personal to them. And you cannot give that advice to someone else because someone else will be sensitive to that. Right. But most of the people that are really living long, they used to eat a Mediterranean diet, at least, or having a Mediterranean lifestyle where they are taking break from stress, and they are taking care of themselves. They are having massage, or they are taking vacation, or they are outside for the most of their life. And when you look at really all the aspects of that, it makes sense. Because they were not doing everything wrong, there were other parts that, fulfill the body need.
Got it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
It does. But I'm with you, Mark. Like the woman that drinks whiskey every day, I'm like, that's going to be me. But it doesn't work for me, because my body, when I do try to drink whiskey, my body's like, what do you do? No. Exactly. Try one more. It's coming right back. But, anyway, so you're right. But it's personal, Ludi. We're all different back to genes, right? Like even a brother and sister, the genes all, but it's up to us on how those genes are expressed is what I'm hearing you say. And that's the point. So we're not victims of our genes. Just because there's a predisposition in our family does not necessarily dictate that that's going to happen to us. And it's our responsibility to take care of this gift that we've been given to maximize the potential. Because one of my philosophies is part of what happens to people is we don't take care of our body long enough to give our gift back to society, right? We're all here for a reason. We're all here to give something, or else we wouldn't be here. And if we don't take care of this vessel, we're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, right? And it's not like an object. You cannot replace your body. It's for some part you may have like a transplant of some organs, but it's just creating also a stress in your body because you open it up, you remove an organ, you put another, and you can save life like that. But you cannot replace everything in your body. You can replace the body. Then you need to take care of it. You are used to take care of your car. You are used to take care of other object in your life, your phone or whatever, but you have to take care of your body because, as you said, it's a vehicle, and it will. If it's not working anymore, you cannot do anything. You cannot walk. You cannot play with your kids. You cannot think. You cannot go outside. You cannot do anything if that vessel is not working anymore. Then.
And the people that live with the pain all the time, and I mean, my heart just goes out to my friends with Hashimoto's, because they'll post, I'm really tired today. And I'm like, it's just it's such a blessing, Ludi, for you to be here and for you to do the work that you're doing to help tell people that we're not victims of our genes. We're not victims of what sometimes, I hate to say it, but the Western science will say, you've got this, and this is what you have to do for the rest of it. You need to find that functional doctor that will help you walk through. And not just for my Hashimoto's friends, but for my other friends, Chronic Wellness Collective. How can people get a hold of Chronic Wellness Collective so they can become educated and hopefully do something about it and enjoy? Because ultimately, when our bodies are healthy, life is so much fun, right?
Oh, yeah. And I want to say that it's not necessarily an easy journey to get back your health. It seems easy when you say it, but in its way, it's really personalized. Each person will be different because each person will have a different history in their life, a different health history, different events and different mindsets and different needs. But it's a journey. What is important is taking care of yourself, and maybe you will not feel 100%, but if you feel already 70% more, it's already a big win.
Yes.
And then you continue to work on your health journey to find all your root causes and try to get those more 5%, and then again more 5%. And some days you may have 10% less, because when you have a chronic disease, it's still there. I'm still predisposed to my disease. I'm still fatigued some days, even with everything I'm doing for my body. I still have headaches sometimes. It's not just black and white. You have all your journey between the two, and you still have to take care of yourself and be grateful for your day and not necessarily either feel like a failure if you have a bad day, because everybody has bad days, and not just people that are trying to have a better health journey. They will have days that they feel they are going backward, but it's part of life and it's normal, and then get back on track and then feel better the next day. But it's a journey, and it's requiring effort. But the effort that you are providing to you, they are worth it. Yes. They are worth it to feel, to fulfill your life, to feel better. You have to see, if you have like a chronic disease, try to see every positive aspect of it. What did you learn from it? What make it change into what triggers some change, I'm grateful because I changed my career and I was able to learn a lot of new things and meet amazing people in my journey. And each day, I'm learning more and more. I'm connecting with more people. And if I was not into that chronic disease journey, I think I would have been, maybe I would have a boring life, or I don't know. My destiny.
Right?
Well, like I said, I'm just meeting you. I've known Tish for a while, but Dr. Ludy, I can't see you having a boring life. It doesn't even seem like your type of personality. That's what I'm observing from you, Dr. Ludy, and everything. By the way, I know that we're going to wrap up and everything, but Breast Cancer Awareness Month is coming up. Do you do any work in that field as well with any of your patients? Because I do have some friends that are fighting that on different levels of the struggle, but I didn't know if you did any work in your own practice with that particular situation with breast cancer and some other things. So if you do, I'd love you to talk about that so my friends that might be watching can know whether they can get your services.
I'm not necessarily specifically working with people with cancer. The principles are kind of the same. If you are really feeding your body will have more ability to heal and to fight the cancer, especially if you are following treatments. But I can refer those people to other practitioners that are specialized in cancer management and help and support people with cancer in their journey of healing, and how to make their treatment more efficient, or even what to bring to your body to heal and to fight it, and what to be careful for. I have several people that I'm following that are specialized in cancer that I can refer. But the principle is the same. Feed your body with nutrient-rich food. Refuse the donuts and the sugar that the hospital will give you during your treatment. The cancer is feeding with sugar. The sugar is feeding cancer. Then your low sugar diet is the best. And there is other aspects that are really specific to cancer that need to be considered. but really the diet will help in the improvement state and the efficiency of the treatments, and will help your body to fight it.
Well, thanks a lot. That's some great advice that you gave, and I'll definitely pass that on to them. And some of them might be watching the show with Tish right now and everything. The other thing I was going to say is that there are certain things that are genetically imposed that I might try to make some enhancements on. I know that I'm getting tired of the gray hair, so I may dye the hair, but I'm not going to change my eyes. I like my hazel eyes, and I'm not changing them no matter what. So that's a genetic trait that I enjoy. So I'm keeping my hazel eyes.
Very nice, Mark. Well, Ludi, did you have any final thoughts?
No, I will repeat myself, but feed your body as it needs, as its biological need as a species, and think about it like you are not eating to eat necessarily. You are eating to feed your body and to make all those reactions function. Then what you put in your body, around your body, on your skin, everywhere, on your mind, will impact your body and will impact your health. And it's not just silly or fad or whatever. It's really a biological needs that we have as a human species.
They're chemical reactions. I'd never thought about that before, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're either, helping our body or, hurting our body. So it's a different way to think about food, isn't it, Mark? It's not quite as fun. Biscuits and gravy. Come on now. Some bacon, ice cream.
It seems like, but it's something we got to think about on a regular basis. And I'll appreciate Dr. Ludi Dementon for being our guest today. Who do you got next week, Tish? I know you got somebody amazing.
We do. We actually, Ludi knows Frida. I've got Frida Lynn coming, and we're going to talk more about the microbiome. So it's wonderful that you brought it up today.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how the body, the skin, the microbiome all affects us, as well as some multicultural, because she also is not from the United States. So she's going to share, I think, a couple stories about growing up in Taiwan, but largely to follow this conversation about microbiome and how to better take care of ourselves.
Yeah, that's the key.
Sounds like it should be a great show. I know I'm looking forward to seeing it next week and helping you with it and everything. And we've actually got one of our producers' daughters go. I think I'll use that to close us out. So we've got the ambassador who will give us those lovely tips about what to do in terms of washing hands and all of that. So I'm going to bring that up, and then we will have something about the IBM TV network, and that will wrap everything up. But I know I'm looking forward to an exciting show from you next week, Tish. You've already got some amazing guests, and I'm looking forward to more and more of these guests on a regular basis. But right now, let's see what the ambassador's got to say about tips to things we should do.
कोरोना से कैसे बचेंगे? हैंड होकर और ऐसे अपने खांसी जब आएगी तो ऐसे करेंगे अथू अथू और कोरोना वायरस को धन्यवाद हमारा म्यूजिक सुनने का.
That's a great little thing. I love that commercial that she does. And now here's a little bit about IBM TV.